Well, education leaders we spoke to tonight say this CDC guidance just reinforces what Connecticut school districts have been doing since school reopened. Although they did say there is one thing they would like to see from the guidance, and that's an increase in COVID-19 testing for students and staff. New guidance from the CDC says most evidence indicates school can be safe during the COVID-19 pandemic if precautions are taken in the classroom and in the community.
On the face of it, it's good news. They haven't documented tremendous surges in cases in schools. The flip side of that is they haven't really tested in schools either.
CDC guidance includes the enforcement of mask wearing, social distancing, and an increase in testing for students and staff. Testing is a task the Connecticut Education Association says it has been pushing since many schools in the state resumed in-person learning.
These are very, very important steps in order to know what the infection rate is in our schools, which we really don't right now without that additional testing.
Middletown Public Schools are doing a pilot program in that area. The real issue, it seems that the access to testing, the long lines waiting for testing have abated. There still is the turnaround time, unless it's the rapid test, which is not that accurate.
The question of when to keep schools open and how has been an issue since the pandemic began. Several Connecticut school districts, such as Hartford, have allowed in-person learning since September.
Most of our schools have some form of either hybrid in-person or in some cases pretty close to full-time. But we have to be effective in terms of the safety precautions, and that includes not only the masking, the social distancing, and more testing of students.
While some districts are basing the decision on an increase in COVID-19 cases, such as New Haven, where students in grades pre-K to 5th returned to the classroom last Tuesday for the first time since the spring. Education leaders in Connecticut agreeing the new CDC guidance is what many teachers, staff, and parents have been advocating for all along.
It reinforces all of the protocols that Connecticut has put in place, and that we really have been a leader in the country in the ability to provide at least some in-person instruction for students.
Well, President Joe Biden says his goal is to reopen majority of K through 8th grade schools over the next 100 days, although specific safety standards have not been released yet from the White House. In Hartford, Zinnia, Maldonado, Fox 61 News.